Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to our elders and apostles, great millstone. Shalom to all Akim preaching his word in truth and sincerity and in faith. It's the brother Yeshaya from the GMS Plain Tables Camp, Philadelphia. And I was watching one of the brothers' videos, and he was just speaking on the fact that how our people, which are the Negroes, the Latinos, and so-called Native Americans, which are the true children of Israel, the sons of the Most High, the children of the Most High. He was speaking on how they love America, aka Babylon, and how much they trust and love Babylon. And if you're in the spirit of loving America and loving this world, because America, America's philosophy has gone out throughout the whole entire world and encompasses the whole world. If you love the America and you love the world, that's not the right spirit to be in. That's a wicked spirit to be in. Watching the brother's video just inspired me to make this video. So this is 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 12. It says, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Yeah, so we have to be looking for and hasting the coming of the day of the Most High. Yeah, and I got the definition for the word hasting, in the blue letter. So it's the word sputo, and the definition says to haste, make haste, to desire earnestly. Yeah, so we have to be desiring earnestly the day of the Most High. We can't be in a nonchalant spirit, about it, whether, on some, if it comes, it comes, whatever happens, happens. No, we have to be, continually hasting the day of the Lord. And I got the definition on the Google. It says be quick to do something, move or travel hurriedly. It says cause something to happen sooner than it otherwise would. Yeah, so you have to, want the day of the Most High to come sooner rather than later, as to not getting complacent in this society and not getting comfortable in this society. So this is Isaiah chapter 51 verse 14. It says the captive exile hasteneth. You see, there goes that word hasteneth again. You see, it says the captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. Yeah, so the captive exile is talking about the children of Israel. Most importantly, more specifically, it's talking about the elect of the children of Israel. We're hastening to be loosed from our captivity. Whether our people acknowledge it, know it, acknowledge it, or believe it or not, you're a captive. You're still in the land of your captivity. You're subject to all types of different things, taxes, subject to all these different wicked laws and regulations. You see what I'm saying? So you're a captive. You can't rule over your own body. You can't rule over your own household. Meaning what? You're a slave. So the elect, the chosen of the children of Israel, they're hastening, to be loose from their captivity, not getting comfortable and complacent in the land of their captivity. This is Psalms chapter 62, verse 10. It says, trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. It says, if riches increase, set not your heart upon them. Yeah, so that's what our people have done. They've trusted in oppression. Going back to the time of slavery, we've been, physically, maybe not physically, but in a sense, we've been freed as slaves, even though we are still slaves, in many different ways, in many different aspects, but just because things aren't as bad as they were, 20, 30, 40, or even the times where we were slaves, our people have gotten comfortable. The so-called white man has given them, a piece of the pie, so to speak, has given them crumbs, and they're comfortable and they're happy with those crumbs. It says, if riches increase, set not your heart upon them. Yeah, so you have some of our people that are pretty well off, not as much as, the so-called white man, but they have, what some might consider riches, and they've become, happy with that. They're content, they're that's more than enough for them to satisfy their needs, while the rest of their people suffer. It says, trust not in oppression. That's what a lot of our people have done. We've trusted in our oppression, and we trusted in our oppressors, thinking, okay, he doesn't hate us anymore, that everybody's equal in this country, in this society. But the scriptures say not to trust in oppression. And whether you believe it and acknowledge it, you are being oppressed. You're still oppressed. Everybody's not equal in the society that we live in, which our people, the children of Israel, we're at the bottom of society, no matter which way you look at it. No matter what aspect of society, we're at the very bottom. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin." It says, "That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt." Yeah, so, the children of Israel, a lot of times what they would do in times of trouble and in times of war, they would go down to Egypt, and ask them for their help instead of relying, having faith and relying on Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and relying on the strength of the Most High. They trusted in the strength of Egypt, asking the Egyptians for help. It says, "Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Yeah, so our people have, since long times, have trusted in their oppressors, in their captives, trusted in their strength and in their might, and relied on them for everything, for sustenance, for help in times of trouble. And that's exactly what our people are doing in this day and age. We're trusting in our oppressors to provide everything for us, provide our daily bread, and to provide our way of life, our way of living. We're trusting in Egypt, which America is the new Egypt. It's spiritually called Egypt. So this is Numbers chapter 14, verse 1. It says, "And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night." It says, "And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, Would the Most High that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would the Most High we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath Yahweh brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt?" Yeah, so after the Most High had freed them from the hard bondage that they had to serve in Egypt, they were and then promised them a very beautiful land that they're gonna eventually inherit. While they were in the wilderness, they lacked that faith in the Most High, and they were complaining, saying we should return into Egypt. Trusting in their oppressors. It says, "And they said one to another, Let us make a captain and let us return into Egypt." Yeah, so after all the affliction, the hardships they suffered in Egypt, due to their lack of faith in the Most High Yahweh, they still wanted to go back. They'd rather go back into slavery. They'd rather go back into slavery than to trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's exactly what our people are doing right now. They'd rather remain in slavery than to trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So this is Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. It says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." Yeah, so the place that is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt is America, aka Babylon, or Babylon, aka America. You see what I'm saying? So our people are living in Egypt, in America, and it compares them as dead bodies because they're in a dead state, because the scriptures say this. This is Proverbs 21:16. It says, "The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." Yeah, so if you're not, you're not in the way of understanding, which the way of understanding is the words, following the words and the commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. If you're not doing that, you're in the congregation of the dead. So you're compared to you're in a dead state. No wisdom, no life in you, because His word brings life. So this is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon." Yeah, so all our people are being commanded to flee out of the midst of Babylon, which is America. Flee out of, it's not flee physically, flee, but to flee its ways, to detach yourself from it, its belief system, its philosophies, the way of the Babylonians, their way of life, to flee from that. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. It says, be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Yeah, so we know through the scriptures that Babylon is going to be destroyed, and everyone that trusts in the ways of Babylon, that cleaves unto the ways of Babylon, are going to be destroyed right along with it. That's why the scriptures is telling you to flee out of Babylon, to flee its ways, not to physically leave America, but to flee its customs, its belief system, all the different doctrines that it pushes out, its philosophies, which is basically complete, Satanism, which goes against everything that the Most High has set up. They tell you up is down and that left is right. So you have to flee out of the midst of Babylon. So this is Micah chapter 2, verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted, it shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. Yeah, so we have to arise and depart out of Babylon. It says, for this is not your rest. Yeah, so a lot of our people, they've gotten very comfortable here in America. They're thinking, they're living their lives, thinking about 10, 20 years down the line. They're just planning out their whole entire lives. They're very comfortable, planning their future. But it says this is not our rest. It says why? It says because it is polluted. Yeah, so if you get comfortable and complacent and satisfied in this world, in this society, you're going to be polluted right along with it, because eventually their ways will overtake you. Their wicked philosophies, like, you eventually will give in. Like, to give an example, like, there was a time a lot of our people were, very much against homosexuality, but now the majority of our people are not against it. People that I've went to school with, at one point, they were very much against homosexuality. Not to say that they're, homosexuals themselves, but, their stance on it is, as long as they're not hurting anybody. Now you see how through the process of time, them being complacent, them being happy or satisfied with the way things are run, now the philosophies that are out here has overtaken them. Just giving a small example of that, and that's what's going to happen. All these different doctrines and philosophies will eventually take you if you don't arise and depart out of this way of life. So this is Hebrews chapter 4, verse 9. It says, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of the Most High. Yeah, so this isn't our rest. There's a rest to come, and through the scriptures, through the prophecies, brothers see that rest. It's on the horizon. It's on the way. It's coming quickly. But it says there remaineth a rest, because this isn't our rest. So we're not supposed to get comfortable here in this society. And for that word rest, it says as the Greek word sabatismo. It says, one of the definitions says, the blessed rest from toils and troubles looked for in the age to come by the true worshipers of the Most High and true Christians. Yeah, so the servants, this is the rest that's been promised to the servants of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, from the toils, from the labors, and from the troubles, from all the affliction, from all the hard work that we have to do, sacrificing our bodies, in these different jobs, and sacrificing our bodies, doing the work of Yahweh Shem Yahshai, from all the afflictions that we catch on a daily basis. We have that promise of that rest, but we're not in that rest right now. America is not our rest, So this is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 14. It says, for we have no continuing city, but seek one to come. Yeah, so this is not our city, okay? This is not our land, okay? This is not a place. This is not a place where we can flourish, where we can do good. It says, but we seek one to come. Yeah, and so the servants of Yahweh Shem Yahshai are seeking for that place of rest, which is coming soon, Lord willing. So you have to you're not supposed to be in a spirit of being, happy and being, trusting in America, trusting in the ways of America. You're supposed to flee and arise out of it. So Lord willing, this video was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the Akim preaching His word in truth and sincerity and in faith. Shalom.